Hello, everyone. Welcome to Juggling Hats While Maintaining Balance Through Life's Journey, the podcast. Today's very special guest is myself. I chose this chapter because it is very personal to me. It is called The Strong One Amid Adversity and Feeling Like a Clown. And before we get started, I will share the subtitle of Feeling Like a Clown. I have been fascinated with clowns for most of my life since I was a little girl. And I associated clowns with people. And so for every personality or character a person has, I've also seen a clown with that same personality. So for example, you have happy clowns, sad clowns, clean clowns, dirty clowns, scary clowns, angry clowns, funny clowns, dorky clowns. And so for every personality, you can find a clown. I've seen clowns figuratively and physically. And so the many hats that we wear in life, it feels like we're juggling. And that also associates with clowns because they do a lot of juggling acts. And so I know many people are afraid of clowns due to either scary movies or, little kids being traumatized by what's supposed to be a funny clown at a circus, but it's traumatizing for little kids. But I have always been fascinated with clowns. And so I felt it appropriate that I do this chapter. I also added my very favorite scripture in Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me as part of this chapter. And so I wanted to do this chapter. So I'm going to ask myself questions and then I'm going to answer them for you. And so just follow along and please like, subscribe and share. Also comment. And if you make comments about something you like or dislike or question you have, I promise to respond. All right, I am going to get started. How do the many roles we juggle make us feel like clowns at times? Well, if you have multiple hats that you wear, you have to wear also multiple faces. And so by default, if you are a parent, you have to wear the face of a parent. You have to work, most of us, to survive. And so you have to wear the hat of an employee and or an entrepreneur. If you are a Christian who goes to church, you then also have to wear the hat of a parishioner and or a servant leader at church. If you are even just simply going to the store or a gas station, you have to wear the hat of a law-abiding citizen. And so we have to juggle many hats. Some we choose, some are by default. But that is the hats that we wear and the roles that we wear within those hats. Why do some people use humor to mask their pain or struggles? It is said that laughter is good for the soul. And I find it more healing to laugh than to cry. Because sometimes things happen so many times in life that you have to laugh to keep from crying. How can we break free from the pressure to please everyone? That's a great question. Last chapter 5, we spoke with Miss Tyra Banks, and one of the main things that was taken from that chapter and that podcast was pausing, stopping, self-reflecting, to ensure that you are not doing too much, that you are choosing you first, and that you are prioritizing the things that you are doing in life or the things that people need you to do in life. What lessons can we learn from the metaphor of clowns in our lives? Well, every once in a while, or eventually, the clown drops a hat or two or all of them when one is dropped because of the juggling act. And so when one ball is dropped, he'll go to two, because typically they have about three. He'll go to two. And eventually they're all going to drop, or he's going to stop, or she, because they're tired. They're tired, they're depleted, and they need to pause to rest. That is self-care. How do you prioritize self-care when juggling multiple responsibilities? That's a great question. Again, when we talk about the many hats that we wear, some are not chosen. Some are hats that we were born into, or if we are parents, then we have to take care of our children, or we should. And so if you are a parent, that's your number one priority. For Christians, yes, God is our number one priority, and after him becomes our, if you're married, your spouse, and then your children, in that order. And so those are your number one priorities, and that's a 3-in-1, but those are your number one priorities. And I am a firm believer in family first. Then I would say prioritize what keeps a roof over your head, food on your table, and a vehicle to get you to place A to place B, or funds if you don't drive or can't drive, to either Uber to a place or take the bus to a place, or a train. And so prioritizing those funds as well. Prioritizing what brings you peace. And so for me, going into my prayer closet, taking vacations, those things are a priority when I think about breaking free from the pressures of life, or the lessons from the metaphors of being a clown. How do you prioritize self-care when juggling multiple responsibilities? And I just said it. For me, and I smile when I say this, because a previous supervisor of mine said that my problem is when I get stressed, I think I need to go on a cruise every single time. My dad tends to say that I travel every month. Is not every month. I used to try to travel every quarter, and not so much anymore because of all the multiple roles that I wear. But when I feel myself getting anxious, when I feel that I'm overwhelmed, when I feel that I have more of an attitude than I usually do, that lets me know, okay, it's time to take a break. It's time for self-care. And that typically is a weekend away. Doesn't always have to be a vacation. It could be a staycation. And so I can, send my child to my mom or my grandmother so I can have the whole house to myself, or I might go stay in a hotel. I love the water, and so I might just take a drive to Galveston. I also live by a lake. I might just go drive and park at that lake just so I can hear the water and the birds. And so whatever brings you peace is how you prioritize your self-care when juggling those multiple responsibilities. But, and I'm bringing it right back to chapter 5, you have to pause. You have to self-reflect. And you have to prioritize yourself. I don't think I've said that, prioritizing yourself. I did say choosing you, but you have to prioritize yourself. How do societal expectations contribute to the feeling of being a clown in life? I'm juggling this right now with my 14-year-old, because she tends to say that people are going to say something, whether you do something good, whether you do something bad, people are always going to have something to say, so why should I care? And that's true. And that's a hard pill to swallow as well. And so we're going through right now with her and her friends and her bonus sisters of how to present yourself at home versus the public. There's a place and a time for everything that we do. And so you can't go out in public dressed like you're still at home. That means the bonnets. That means your pajamas. That means furry flip flops. And I'm sorry if I'm stepping on toes, because people will talk. They will talk good or bad. However, how I was raised, and you raise your children according to what you see fit and how you believe is best for them. But how I was raised is when you walk outside of a house, you represent your family, which means you represent the best person that you can be, from your physical look, the aesthetics of what you have on, to your personality, your character, because that also is a reflection on your parents and or who raised you and how they raised you. And so I share that example because it can oftentimes feel like you are wearing a hat that you don't want to wear, or wearing the face of a clown that you don't want to wear. I know that personally, being a pastor's daughter. My dad is well known here in Houston and probably across the southern region, if not for pastoral work, then for his electronic work or for teaching the Bible through certain electronical platforms. And so he's well known. And so I know that I can't ever go out, and I've known this my whole life. I can't ever go out, even if I wanted to, and I don't, y'all. Even if I wanted to go out and wild out or act out, I knew that somebody somewhere would know me or know my dad, and it would get back to him. And I just didn't want to embarrass him like that. And so, you know, society as a whole is hard, and especially for our middle schoolers and our high schoolers. Social media is hard. And so when I answer the question of how do societal expectations contribute in the feeling of being a clown in real life, sometimes you have to wear hats that you don't want to wear. Sometimes you have to get dressed when you don't want to. Sometimes you have to be prim and proper when you want to be chill and laid back or laugh and have fun. And so those are those hats that, even though we know, again, society and people are going to talk whether we like it or not, or whether they like us or not, that we abide by. What advice would you give to someone feeling overwhelmed by their commitments? I would say again to prioritize you, to choose you. I posted just recently that being an advocate and or protector, or wearing many hats, should not deplete you. It should not consistently deplete you, nor should it impact negatively your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, or financial peace. And so pausing, if I can't say anything else, pausing, just sit and pause, stop, reflect, choose you, prioritize you, would be what I would say to start, where to start first when feeling overwhelmed. Also, if you need to speak with someone, if you have a therapist, speak to your counselor. If you have a trusted friend, speak to your friend. If you have a pastor or a spiritual leader, speak to them. And for those of you, I don't know if many people know, but if you work, there is an employee assistance program, EAP, that will allow a certain amount of free services for you. So look into that if you don't know what to do or if you need help. But just know that it is okay to pause and to choose you and to reflect. Because if you don't, you'll end up burning yourself out. You'll end up hurting yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And sometimes that can lead to other symptoms or illnesses that we don't want, such as heart attacks or strokes or headaches. And we don't want to think of anything worse. But if you don't choose you, your body has a way of choosing you. So that is what I would say to someone who's feeling overwhelmed. Choose you. And if you need more help, seek help. How can we learn to set boundaries without feeling guilty? I don't know who added that question in there because I'm still learning that one. But what I will say is I pray. I pray and I think about the things that I have done. And I have the conversations with people because it's not easy to say no. Sometimes people don't accept no, and I just said that to someone recently as well. People don't always accept no. No is a whole sentence, and yet still they don't accept it, especially when you have proven to be the go-to person, the protector, the advocate, the family CEO. They they don't listen when you say no, and so have the conversations. My family knows, for example, with me, I don't answer the phone after 9 o'clock. Or I might not answer the phone if I'm trying to say no and I'm trying not to feel guilty about it. Again, you can also talk to another trusted person if you are feeling guilty. If you are a servant leader, you're probably still going to feel guilty. But just like trouble don't last always, guilt doesn't last always. And so after a night or two or three of going to sleep and waking up, you will feel less guilty. I promise. Just like you're not always sad, you're not always happy, you're not always angry. Trouble don't last always. And so guilt does not as well. How do we identify which roles to prioritize and which to let go? Which roles disrupt your life? Which roles bring you stress? Which roles are unhealthy and negatively? Because I know as a parent, your kids stress you out. That's good stress. Most of the time, it's good stress. But prioritize what gives you peace. Prioritize your family and prioritize what pays your bills. Anything else, you can begin to number them. So if what I just gave you was 3 things, and so anything else outside of 4 or 5 can wait until later, and it is okay. It's okay to put it to the side until you can get to it later or delegate it to someone else. We talked about this in chapter 5 as well. I hope you see that the chapters are intertwining with each other. It's not just, one chapter and another chapter, but these things sometimes also happen simultaneously. And then finally, how does embracing vulnerability help in managing the roles that we play? People need to know that you are human. They need to know that you have gone through some of the same things that they have gone through. I have been shocked twice this year by 2 people that I looked up to and have looked up to for years, thought they had everything together. I was trying to be more like them. And then when they confided in me, I was like, oh. My feelings were hurt. I was traumatized. I wasn't disappointed. But what it did let me know is that they are human as well. And side note, I want us to recognize that in pastors too. And I say that again, I said in the beginning that I'm a pastor's child. Pastors are people first. And we tend to put them on pedestals, thinking that they can do no wrong and will do no wrong. And then we get disappointed or hurt and call it church hurt, or, and then we church hop because, the pastor did something that we didn't agree with. And not all the time is it, money or infidelity. Sometimes it's just decision making, but pastors are human first. And so what I will say is that let people see the human side of you, the vulnerable side. I can speak for myself in that being the strong one in the midst of adversity, my family doesn't see as many tears because I go into protector mode. And so the few times I have cried, I'll never forget an aunt pulled me outside years ago because I started crying. Also, y'all, I was pregnant, so it probably was all the emotions everywhere. And she wanted to know what was wrong. And you don't ever cry, so why are you crying? And I was like, I don't know, so and so did this or said this. And she was like, you suck it up. And if you get my book, if you purchase this book, you will. I think I tell that story in this book somewhere, but I didn't get the chance to actually be in my feelings because I had to suck it up, because I am known to be the protector, the advocate, the unspoken family CEO, which is a role I definitely have never wanted. But I'm grateful for it. And I thank God that my family trusts me enough. And so let them see your human side, and share some of your experiences with them is what I would share with you, and showing your vulnerable side. So, you guys, that is all for today. Thank you for joining in. Again, I am Dr. LaCon Nelson, and I will see you next time.